Are you thinking about moving to Oakland Park? Are you researching and trying to figure out a little bit more about that city that's so like right next to Fort Lauderdale? Well, you're in the right place today. I'm going to be reviewing the city on a Google map so you can kind of really understand the layout of where everything is and a benefit to you of buying in Oakland Park. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Adela Philipson. I have been a realtor for more than 4 years full time. And on this channel, I like to feature properties, neighborhoods, and just kind of help people such as maybe yourself to move into the Southeast Florida area. Now, a big shout out to Arissa and Raymond. They reminded me I had not done a video on Oakland Park. So this is for me to you and everybody else who is thinking about Oakland Park. Now, I personally do like Oakland Park. I'll explain that in just a minute. So I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and dive in. So here is Oakland Park. Oakland Park, I'll just kind of outline with my actual mouse. Do you see these little red lines right here where I'm just kind of circling around? So that is Oakland Park to give you a better perspective of where Oakland Park truly is. It's north of Fort Lauderdale, but it's kind of surrounded by Fort Lauderdale, as I like to say. And then Pompano Beach is right above it. So Fort Lauderdale itself kind of swoops around like this, kind of like a backward C. And then there's a small little island city right here, which is called Wilton Manors. And right above it is Oakland Park. So it's really like snug in between Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, and Wilton Manors. One thing I want to point out, and it really takes people who even move to Fort Lauderdale, it takes some time to actually realize that when they are driving up right here on US 1, that the city to the left of them, if they're going from south to north, along this strip is actually Oakland Park. So if you're driving down US 1, to the right of you is Fort Lauderdale, to the left of you is Oakland Park. And interestingly enough, some shops, whether it's like Sprouts, I'll point out to you in a moment, or even mom and pop restaurants, some of them will actually purchase or lease, I should say, properties along the west side of US 1 right here. It has that Oakland Park address. It's less expensive normally than renting and leasing in Fort Lauderdale. So for example, when you are searching for a restaurant, and a good example is actually a whole enchilada. There is one in Fort Lauderdale, but there's also one in Oakland Park. And most people think it's also Fort Lauderdale, but because it's located on the left-hand side right here on the west side, it's technically Oakland Park. So you just have to be very careful when you are looking for specific places. Around this area, a lot of people think it's Fort Lauderdale. It's not, it's Oakland Park. I usually like to think of Oakland Park as an extension of Fort Lauderdale. And what's really great is because it is sandwiched and surrounded by Fort Lauderdale, you can get a really great property in Oakland Park and be surrounded by all the benefits and access to the amazing things that Fort Lauderdale has to offer. Now, Fort Oakland Park is small. It has a population, I think the census last in, 2023, was about 44,000. So it is significantly less compared to Fort Lauderdale. So let's go ahead. I want to give you like road maps. So here is US 1. That's what we call Federal Highway. It goes north and south, right kind of in the middle of Fort Lauderdale, but you have access to Oakland Park. So that's actually the borderline right here. That's going to be the east border of Oakland Park. Now, this particular major road right here, it's called Oakland Park Boulevard, and Oakland Park Boulevard does get you access to the beach. So if you want to go to the beach, maybe go over to Greek Islands Taverna, which I love. They have really great lunch specials. Or if you wanted to go to like Bow Campers right here, there's a massive plaza. There's even Patricia's Italian restaurant. There's a lot to do. In fact, you could actually get the Fort Lauderdale water taxi from here also. Now, the one thing though, be mindful, if you do want to go to the beach directly from Oakland Park Boulevard, this is a bit more of a private beach. So you're not really going to find like public parking unless you find it on Ocean Boulevard, like on a meter or pay. And then you're going to want to walk over. The nice thing is if you do end up finding a spot, it's going to be very, there's not going to be a lot of tourists. It's very quiet just because it's a little harder to get access to. But if you want to make sure that you can find parking, excuse me, you're going to want to go to Sunrise Boulevard. You will find more parking. In fact, Hugh Taylor Birch State Park right here, you can go into there and park in their beach parking and walk over to the beach. Excuse me, let me get some water. Okay, so that's US 1, Oakland Park Boulevard. I can't necessarily say that's the south borderline because there are parts of Oakland Park that fall just shy, just a little bit right below Oakland Park Boulevard itself. And let's see here. Okay, so here is the 95 freeway. To get to the 95 freeway, you can either access it from Oakland Park Boulevard or Commercial Boulevard. So let's say you buy a home in this area. You can either go, oh, you know what? Forgive me. On the Google Maps, sometimes this can be confusing, but this street is very, very important. So this right here is actually Dixie Highway. Dixie, Dixie Highway. This will actually, it cuts through Oakland Park. And this general area is called downtown Fort Lauderdale. They are in the process of completely redoing their downtown. If you were to be driving, you would see new high rises going up. They're bringing in apartments. They're doing condos. They really want to develop and make the city a bit more attractive to people. So the city itself is putting a lot of money. They actually do have a lot of attractions in this area. For example, there is the brewery. Where is it? Buddha's. Let's see if I can find it for you. Not La Empanada. I think it's right here. Funky Buddha Brewery. It's right there on 38th. In fact, there's even like a post office here, restaurants, barber shops. There's definitely a lot to do. It's a bit more quiet. It's not as busy as US 1, but it definitely kind of cuts through. So it's, it's kind of like the heart of Oakland Park to get around. In my opinion, when I'm thinking of Oakland Park in general, I typically think about this major square because that's really where there is a lot to do. There are other like businesses, for example, wait, no, not Extreme. Extreme Action Park is actually Fort Lauderdale, so we'll leave that out. But Project Rock, I have been there. Let me just kind of show you. I actually went with my brother, who's an amazing rock climber, and took our kids. So this is Project Rock. And they even have in the same plaza a gym. I think it's Cut. Oh, the Crunch Fitness. And then they have a supermarket. So this is actually a little plaza here as well. Let's see if we can get the satellite. Yeah. So if you notice, this is like a whole plaza right here, shopping mall. So let's go back. Okay. So this is kind of, I mean, again, this is actually every time I go to Oakland Park, I'm always thinking here. There are other things to do. For example, okay, this is one thing I was mentioning in regard to don't be confused about Fort Lauderdale versus Oakland Park. So right here, once you get past the 95 freeway, there's a Home Depot and a Lowe's. They're on opposite sides of the 95 freeway. But for myself, for example, if I need to go to either one, I think, am I going to go to Home Depot here in Fort Lauderdale? Or am I going to go to the Home Depot right here in Oakland Park? Because they're kind of the same distance for me. But if I were to be punching it into Google Maps, I want to make sure I'm not confused if I do Home Depot Fort Lauderdale and I'm thinking this Home Depot is in Fort Lauderdale, because it's not. So that's something to be mindful. And it is nice that the city of Oakland Park has so many businesses, especially even like Home Depot, Lowe's, Project Rock. And they also got a Sprouts recently. Where is Sprouts? It's roughly, let's see, Sprouts, East Parkland. Let's see. Yep, right here in River's Edge. A Sprouts. Everybody was really excited about that, especially people who are used to having a Sprouts. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much what it looks like. So it's nice to finally have one of those in our neighborhood. Actually, my favorite thing to get there are the muffins. Any muffins will do. That's the one my daughter and I like to go to get some muffins. So let's see here. I apologize for being a little bit all over the place. It's been a while, but more importantly, I'm very excited. So let me go back. So this is Oakland Park. Okay. So I mentioned to you US 1. I mentioned to you Oakland Park Boulevard that kind of cuts through here, the southern part. Up here is Commercial Boulevard, but if you'll notice, most of the city is on the east side of the 95 freeway. And then there's a section over here that is on the west side of the 95 freeway. Now, there are these major bodies of water throughout, so it kind of limits the amount of homes that can be found in this area. I will also say that some developers have come in and built like little gated communities, maybe even apartment complexes. So there is kind of some newer development. The only thing is some people prefer to be on the east side of the 95 freeway because you don't have to worry about, traffic or just congestion, and also being closer to the beach and downtown. So that's the areas. Now let me kind of go over the neighborhoods in general, just so you're familiar. So this is River's Edge down here. You can find some really cute, lesser expensive properties along this waterway. The only thing is to get access to these particular properties. It can be a little bit more difficult because, especially during rush hour traffic along Oakland Park Boulevard, including even like traffic to St. Mark's School, which is located roughly around here somewhere. I think it's over, here, right here. There can be a lot of traffic just kind of going on. Then you have, of course, right here, it says Central Business District. So that's actually where a lot of businesses typically are. I always like to refer to it as downtown. Everyone, typically just kind of says, hey, downtown Oakland Park. And then a lot of the restaurants and shops are located here as well. Now, if you'll notice, I'm just going to kind of go out a bit here for you. Its location. So if you really wanted to go to like Miami, it's not really that much of a difference in terms of distance or how long it would actually take you. In fact, it might even be faster because you are closer to the 95 freeway. To just kind of jump on the freeway and head south to Miami. That'll take you about 45 minutes without traffic, especially if you're trying to get to like South Beach. It's going to be longer during traffic hours. And then, of course, you have Palm Beach over here. Here's West Palm Beach. But if you wanted to go to like Palm Beach, that'll also be about the same time frame. What's interesting is because there is a bigger population in the southeastern part, it is closer, but it takes longer because there's more vehicles. And then when you actually travel north, there, I want to say there's a little bit, well, there's less, so it doesn't take as long. Or excuse me, I'm misspeaking here. What I'm trying to say is like it's further to go to Palm Beach than it is to Miami, but it takes about the same time just because there's less traffic. Now, here in Oakland Park, if you were to go to the beach along Commercial Boulevard, which I would recommend, that will take you to Lauderdale by the Sea. One of my favorite little beach spots. Lauderdale by the Sea is a mile-long beach city surrounded by Fort Lauderdale as well. But they have a pier, they have restaurants. It's just, you feel like you're on vacation, even as a local, by going here. So, I mean, some people actually come here and they'll retire and they'll want to purchase a condo at Lauderdale by the Sea and just kind of be able to walk around everywhere without having to worry about parking and then just be able to walk to the beach. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the neighborhood. So here was River's Edge. This was downtown Oakland Park. And then up here in your northern part is Collier Estates. Let me see here. Coral Heights. Coral Heights is actually a little bit more in this area. And then this is like Central Coral. And Coral is really just because like underneath there, like it used to be coral a long time ago, and then there's actual coral underneath, which even helps with like elevation. So this is Collier Estates. Let's see here. I mean, in my perspective, Oakland Park is a lot smaller, so it's a little bit harder to kind of like pinpoint all these attractions. But I just want you to get a better understanding of the fact that Oakland Park is really surrounded by so much. So again, here is the borderline. Right below it is Wilton Manors, and then all of this surrounding it is Fort Lauderdale. Oh, and you know what? Here is Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport. This is actually where they fly out of for the air show. So that's actually where all the planes fly in and out. So they do pretty much go directly up and over, and then they kind of swoop along down the beach and do circles like that. Here is actually the Holy Cross Health Hospital, right on the corner of Commercial and US 1. Technically, this is Fort Lauderdale, but look at the borderline. It's so close. It's really not that big of a deal in regard to having access to so many things. Let me see if I can focus in a little bit further on downtown right here along Dixie for you. So I have heard of people going to Dixie Big Bar Barbecue here. I wonder if somebody has a recent pictures. It's just really like your local dive place where you can get some really good, food. Nothing like too frou-frou, bougie, fancy, type of place, but a good place. Oh, you know what? Actually, one of my favorite places is, let me see if I can find it here. This was actually one of the first places I went to, and I thought it was Fort Lauderdale. It's called Mom's Kitchen. This was an experience. So I remember flying into Fort Lauderdale one of the mornings, and my flight got in at 5. And I remember that they opened at 6 in the morning. And I don't know if they changed their hours, but I remember looking for a breakfast place that opened early. Everyone else opened at like 7 or 8. This was the only one that opened at 6 back then. That was like 5 years ago. And I went, and it was an amazing local hotspot. It was crazy the amount of people that were already there that early. And like the Broward County sheriffs were there all hanging out. And it was like everybody knew everyone. It was very inexpensive. And I will say it has changed ownership, and it has been absolutely crazy busy. You're usually looking at like a 2-hour wait now, but you can sign up for a table from your home. I was hoping to get some pictures here, but I remember going, and it was absolutely crazy busy. I want to say these are not really good pictures, but you'll have to take my word because I have experienced it. Here we go. This is a much better picture of their food, but I think they just went really big on social media, and they just kind of really blew up. And when I couldn't believe it, I told my husband and kids, like, oh, let's go to Mom's Kitchen again. And then somebody told me, oh yeah, it actually got bought out by somebody else. And so they're really promoting it. And so now it's like everyone's going crazy over it. So it's really good food though. It's like a perfect place to go and have some breakfast. Let's see here. Etapas is not Oakland Park, but it is on the borderline. That's a really great place. I know a lot of people who obsess over it. If you want to be fit, there is LA Fitness right here. I used to be a member. I just switched to Planet Fitness not too long ago, but LA Fitness is there. In fact, right across the street from Oakland Park right here, you have Fresh Market. It's a very it's like a higher end grocery store. And then there's Planet Fitness. Oh, let me tell you this. So the Polynesian restaurant just reopened. It is apparently now considered a historical location. So they're preserving it and they're bringing it back. They just opened up and it's very popular. So if you are visiting, highly recommend to go there. But if you live here, then take your family and friends and they're coming to visit you. So Mai Kai Restaurant and Polynesian shows. They have that in Oakland Park. So let's see here. Oh, so here's South Corals. Now, there are homes here along the waterway. And in fact, there's actually even condos right here in River's Edge. Let's see, right here, there's actually an entire complex as well. If you wanted to be along the water, see this building right here. Well, it's multiple buildings, but they have this entire property. And then there's houses there as well. So there's a lot of opportunity. I would say Oakland Park Boulevard is definitely less expensive than Fort Lauderdale and is completely surrounded by Fort Lauderdale. So if you really get, a great house, there's nothing wrong with Oakland Park whatsoever. And I apologize if for any reason I've been saying Oakland Park Boulevard in some cases, just because there is technically Oakland Park Boulevard. I'm constantly driving up and down it, but Oakland Park is a city surrounded by Fort Lauderdale, and Oakland Park Boulevard really cuts through it. And it's an easy way to get all the way from the beach to the 95 freeway, which really gives you access to a lot of things. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or leave a question in the comments. I will definitely answer and respond to you. It is myself who responds. And don't be a stranger. If you want to check out some more videos I curated specifically for you guys, please go ahead and check them out on my channel. And if you want to watch more, go ahead and click here. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next one.